Hey everybody, welcome to the News Roundup for 10/12/2020. Today we'll be talking about the Patriot Rally in Denver, Facebook increases measure to deal with anti-Semitism, fake news, a plot to kidnap the Michigan governor, stimulus talk stalled, vice presidential debate, and more. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start the show. I gotta get better at this. Transition. All right, everybody. Hey, we are live. Hey, everybody, again, welcome to the show. If this is your first time joining us, this is the Crowdsourced Politics Podcast, where we discuss various topics. And today is News Roundup Day. Today, I am joined by Mateo DeGaulle.
Hey, what's up?
Sean Dixon.
Yo.
And Art Black, who is currently taking a phone call and will be joining us shortly. So, you all heard my little spiel. What do you guys want to start with first?
Talk about the election. Let's get that out of the way.
All right. Election, vice presidential debate, president debate. All right, let's do this. So, everybody saw the fly, right? The infamous fly.
Yeah, man, I was loving it.
Yeah, so the vice presidential debate went more about, in my opinion, of what a debate should be. However, there was a lot of dodged questions. What was the biggest dodged question from each side, in your guys' opinion?
Oh, court packing, hands down.
Yeah, Kamala doesn't want to answer, and Biden, they don't want to answer the court packing, which that's fine to me. Okay.
Yeah, the truth will end up hurting them, so they don't want to say the truth.
What is the truth, though? Is the truth is that they want to pack it, or is the truth is that
they would love to pack the courts?
Are you sure?
I mean, there's no way someone like Kamala Harris, Biden might be like, listen, guys, we need healing. Kamala Harris, fuck them, let's pack the courts.
Yeah.
And I'm not someone who hates Kamala Harris. I would have picked her over any Democrat in the primary, but I mean, she's definitely one of the more. She's a lot more gamey than traditional politicians.
Okay, I could see that. That's definitely a fair point.
Yeah, like during the Kavanaugh hearings when she's like, is there somebody you talked to? And he's like, maybe. Is there someone specific you're talking to? I need to be refreshed. She's like, is there not? Like, basically, like, I got you. When it's like, I don't know. Maybe he's just, I don't know. She's just very aggressive when it comes to certain things.
That's a fair point about that. I wouldn't necessarily say, well, no, aggressive is fair. Poignant, too.
Yeah, aggressive is fairly good.
Yeah. So, I think I don't think that they are pro court packing. I am pro court packing. I will say it here. Everybody in the group that we run, people that might be just joining us or joining us later, we run a Facebook debate group. Go ahead and join it. Links in the comment section.
Anthony wants more Republicans on the court.
I want, what I would like to see is that the threat of court packing happens simultaneously with, like, listen, guys, we all know where this is going. Let's make a constitutional amendment so nobody can ever do this shit.
Reverse I think that's McConnell's moves and Harry Reid's rules. That's the best way to go about this.
Yeah, so I think that is honestly the only way to get that through the Senate is by having a threat of it, and that will get enough Republicans on board to actually sign on to it, and it'll be this huge thing because you need.
Unless Republicans get power and then say, hey, this is what you guys wanted, right? Just like McConnell did with the court.
That's why you have a 2-year window to do it. So it's one of those situations where you threaten, where I would like to see them threaten it, also while threatening it, have a constitutional amendment, and then be like, either pass the constitutional amendment or we're going to do this, and they'll be like, tit for tat.
What constitutional amendment?
Various amendments to fix the court size, maybe to get rid of lifelong tenure, make it a year, not a year, but a particular number of year tenure system, make it to where you can't have a open seat on the judiciary, any level of the judiciary, for more than X number of months, that sort of stuff. Anything to make it to where procedural games, or my opinion, procedural games are less likely to happen and more of an automatic process, so that you can't have 400 judges being appointed by a single person. You can't have the court you can't have the court left open for X number of years or months.
Oh yeah. For a couple of those, there's no need for an amendment. It's just straight up going back. Like I said, again, reversing McConnell's Supreme Court ruling or Supreme Court rules change, and then reversing Reid's, lower courts rules change.
But then again,
that's a mistake I made last episode. I conflated Harry Reid's move and McConnell's move as the same thing,
Right.
and they're different. Reid was the Senate, McConnell was when it came to like court picks.
Yeah, definitely. That was a good thing on correcting that. But like I said, I think if you make it constitutional to where these things can't be changed, or it makes it harder to change anyways, you're less likely to see it happen again in the future. So Senate rules saying, hey, this is how the filibuster works. If you just change that and somebody can come along in 10 years, 20 years or whatever and be like, we got power now, let's do this again. And it's just right back to where we are.
I'm ending obstructionism. And then fast forward to now and they're like, oh.
Exactly. So that's my opinion on that there with the whole court thing. What was the biggest dodge from Pence? Neither one of them really answered questions too much. But what was Pence's biggest dodge? I in my opinion, Pence was just like all over the place.
Question.
Yeah, but he didn't answer a single question. So which was like the most like, oh my God, like why didn't you at least answer that question?
Well, Pence used to be a talk show host
Art,
in Indiana.
Oh shit, Art, you gotta mute yourself. Shit. Hold on. We might have to actually end this and start back up because I don't think it'll let me export it now. All right, Art, you can talk. I'm sorry, dude.
No problem. Am I audio good?
Your audio's fine. I got you muted.
All right, my bad. Pence used to be
you're still double audio. Sorry everybody, we got a new system going on here for our streaming service. It's a
there we go.
So all right,
better.
Yes, you're muted now. That's great. If this can't get, I'm hoping it can be exported. So we'll see. But anyways, let's go ahead and continue. Art, please go ahead. I'll get you into the video scene as well.
Okay, I didn't realize that was going to happen. So
it's all good. I'll try to fix it next time to where it doesn't happen.
Okay. Mike Pence used to be a talk show host in Indiana back in the good old days where he was railing against the Disney cartoon Mulan ruining the United States Armed Forces with its weird, degenerate ideas of female equality. So fast forward to today where he is debating, and he's actually pretty good at talking, having spent most of his day, ranting against the evils of the world. That sort of format works very well for him. He's very difficult to throw off his game, and he sticks to his point. And the debate moderator was incredibly weak. So, Pence was free to do whatever he wanted, which he did, and well.
Yeah, it was pretty sad how he just basically like disrespected her the whole time. She'd be like, thank you. And at a certain point, you just have to blame her for not being like, shut up, stop.
Oh, the moderator?
The moderator, yeah. It was kind of sad to see.
Right?
Yeah. Chris Wallace dropped the hammer on Trump. I mean, it got a little tense, but, he kind of, held the line. And this guy was just, well, I mean, to the extent, possible, he at least, showed the flag, whereas this gal just let herself get steamrolled.
Yeah, I don't think she was expecting
At one point, Pence ignored her question and went back to a previous question, and he announced it too. He's like, I'm just going to answer that other one with my time. Like it was
explicit.
Like it's such a dick move. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But some of the questions that he avoided was like, what was it? Oh, was it irresponsible to basically create a super spreader event with Amy Coney Barrett? And he's just like, just ignored it.
Just ignored it. Completely ignored it. I think the big question ignored was probably that one. Art, you wanted to break in. Go ahead.
Oh, just only that, Pence was good because he does have the background and he, he's not very interesting, but he's good at staying on point. I mean, he's locked in on his talking points and he did a good job for what he set out to do. I mean, you really can't discount him on that. And, Harris, despite being a prosecutor, didn't really drop the hammer. And there's, probably different reasons for that. But, the takeaway from it was that Pence came across as somebody who, was focused and locked on his target and stayed on target. And Harris never really landed a lot of good hits. And it is what it is.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Pence seemed to be a bit more on brand for him. Whereas Harris was a little more muted. But even with that said, a lot of women, from seeing debates online and talking to my friends and stuff, saw Harris as being like she brought the fire. And I think it might be one of those situations where men and women kind of see this differently, not because of the whole sexism thing, but because of the facial expressions. And the facial expressions Harris gave him, and the "sir, like I'm talking, okay," like was very kind of
much fire.
Yeah, I mean, but it's more like, I wouldn't say fire, but I'm like, I
think it's just support for her. Yeah, no, but if you support her, you're probably like, damn, what a strong performance. And if you don't like her, you're probably just going to be like, it was horrible and Pence was great. A lot of it. I mean, not all of it. Some people in the margins care, but not many people do.
I think that people have different victory and loss conditions. And I think that Pence went in and Harris went in, cognizant of what they needed to do to win or lose. And it's not really a debate against each other in like the classic sense. It's more of like, you've got like an hour and a half of marketing you can do for yourself. And does it help your cause? Does it hurt your cause? Right, so like if we look at it like a debate, we're kind of missing the point. And to kind of an extent, Pence did too. Like he spent a lot of time throwing red meat to the base. And for what he set out to do, he did a great job. But when you look at how the numbers moved, you're like, well, Harris didn't really do as well in terms of a debate. But in terms of like what she needed to do, which is to go in there, not screw up, not give any, any disastrous kind of content that could be, memed. Like all she had to do was just go in there and just, kind of hold her ground and then run out the clock. Yep. And she did. And that was it. And what Pence needed to do was appeal to moderates. But instead, he appealed to the base. So the base loved it because it was a good base performance. But like that don't help win elections. Like that ain't smart. But it's what Trump wants to do, and it's what Pence had to do.
Yeah, and Kamala Harris, she kind of, what some leftists would say, kind of like shit on the base a little bit when she's like, Joe Biden and I are not going to ban fracking. Are you fucking stupid? Like,
she's been back and forth on such far issues. Remember, wasn't she like, yeah? I mean, I don't blame her on some level, but it's like almost too transparent.
But that's the point. Like they went to clips of her saying, "I want to end fracking," and then "We will not end fracking." Like immediately, they had that stuff lined up. Yep. But the thing is that you take that hit when you're actually trying to win elections, and you're like, "Oh, you know what? We need to go after the moderates." So I know my base is going to hate this, and I'm going to be obviously called out. But like, I got to go after the moderates. So the reason that she won.
Go ahead. Sorry, finish your point.
Oh, the reason that she gained points after the debate and he didn't is because she bit the bullet and went after moderates, even though it made her look kind of dumb. Whereas Pence was just like rah, rah, rah to the base. It's like, well, good, but the base is already with you. So you didn't actually move the needle. Like, this is why Trump is 10 points down. Is it, this is just basic, oh God, what's the term for like pedestrian politics, or there's some old timey. No, there's a term for retail politics. Yeah. Yes, this is basic retail politics where, hey, you're a month out for the election, you go after the moderates. Like everybody knows to do this because it's what works. Like, and this is what Trump did in 2016. And for now, he's just like, man, screw the moderates. Like I'm going hard. So
no, I don't think he can access the moderates even that much anymore. I mean, in 2016, he wasn't a huge sell, but that's back when he was an unknown. And now it's like, even I feel like moderates who do support him know not to say it out loud. Like it's almost like racist. If you ever see a racist and their kid starts doing something racist, they're like, no, don't do that. Like they know it's bad. But they're still it. It's almost like that. Yeah, and that's a bad analogy, but
no, you're exactly right though.
No, totally a fair point about that. I don't know. So you brought it up, Art, is that the polling has been consistent, and that is news now because we've had another week of polling come out post debate, post Trump getting COVID, which is another thing we should probably discuss here in a minute. What does that say about the state of the race? Looking at it right now, we have about an average of Biden being up about 10% and Trump being down about 10%. What do you think that's saying? What do you think that means? Do you think we're going to experience another 2016 moment? What's up?
I hope we're not. I mean, as long as the young people get out and vote, which are almost all Democrat, I think Democrats are not almost all, but largely Democrat. I think they're going to have it just an easy time winning. But who knows? I mean, last season, a lot of people stayed home, and
that's true.
it's just so pathetic. Like, no one expected Trump to win, and
Well,
it showed in who turned up to vote.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing about mail-in voting. Is it like once you mail-in vote, you're kind of good. Like the vote is in. You know, the GOP at first they were pushing really hard for people to only vote on election day, but the problem there is that like, what if Trump does something stupid right before election day, and somebody decides, you know what, maybe I'm just gonna play another couple rounds of Call of Duty. I'm not actually gonna make it in to vote today. Like, I got some work to finish up. Whereas for a mail-in ballot, once you mail it in, it's done. Like you don't have to worry about it. It's handled. It's in the tally, and it's just quietly stacking up.
Yep.
So I think that, like you said about last year, or 2016, where it was a weird turnout, kind of a season. But with this, you have a ton of Democrats that are highly motivated to vote. They've already voted, and then you have the GOP base, which is weirdly motivated and not motivated, depending on what angle you look at it from, and it gives a kind of a weird idea of what the tally is going to be. When you also consider that there's this big meme among the GOP that like everyone lies to pollsters. Like if the pollster calls me, I'm not going to tell him I'm voting for Trump, but I'm going to vote for Trump anyway. I don't know if that's really a thing. I mean, the polls were a little bit off in 2016, but they were within the margin of error. There's still going to be some movement between now and election day, but potentially even within a huge margin of error, you could still have like a 5-point, 6-point, 8-point swing in favor of Biden, and just a colossal landslide. I mean, it would have to be a gigantic swing now in some very key places for that not to be the case, and it's getting harder and harder to see.
Yeah, I am encouraging everybody that I know to, if they can, to vote in person and to do it early. If for no other reason, and this is something that we should talk about now, is that there's games afoot, and some of those games include illegal ballot harvesting operations, but this time not from the Democrats, but from the GOP. So one of the stories that broke over the weekend that not many people, I'm sure, are aware of is that the GOP in California, Art's home state, has set up illegal ballot harvesting drop boxes in various places where Republicans tend to hang out. So gun stores, churches, suburban areas, malls, that sort of thing, and GOP headquarters in areas. I want to say that it was in LA County.
That was Orange County, man. It was right in my hood.
Yeah, Orange County, LA County, and I don't remember the third county off the top of my head, but there was 3 counties where they have put these in. So if they're worried about ballot stuffing and illegal votes, why are they doing this then? Why are they now suddenly encouraging their people to do mail-in ballots and doing this sort of stuff?
I don't think they were ever against mail-in ballots. I think they were against basically just sending out ballots to anyone with an address, pretty much, like not asking, just sending out ballots. Like if you request a ballot, they've never been, even Trump, I don't think has ever been against that.
They try to split hairs.
He probably has been, but he didn't know he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that is a good distinction to make. But
yeah, it's a difference between requesting something and getting it mailed to you and having just a firebombing from the sky of ballots all over the place. I mean, I'm not saying it's as bad as they're saying it is.
No.
I'm just saying that's their concern. There's more to it than just, any ballot by mail is bad.
Well, we all know, or at least people on this podcast know, and I'm sure some of our listeners do, that when you do a mail-in ballot, when you do an absentee ballot, they are going to try to verify your signature on the ballot to whatever signature you have in the records and in the court records.
Their fears are unfounded. I'm just saying there's distinctions to what they're actually against and for. So a lot of people are claiming hypocrisy, but a lot of it's just, they're not against anything going through the mail. They're just against mass mail-outs.
No, that's a fair point, but I think with this particular ballot harvesting operation, it is hypocrisy. Art, did you want to break in with something?
Well, only to say that basically you have the state GOP and then the state of California arguing over whether or not this is legal. The state says it's not. The GOP says that it is legal, and I'm sure this will go to court. It's basically under California state law, you're only allowed to either mail in your ballot or bring it to an official voting location. you're not supposed to have some kind of third party step in between. And the GOP is trying to argue some technicality that it's not really a third party step, and it's going to be taken from that box to another box, and it's just being harvested legally. It's not being
Well, I
illegal.
think yes, but I also think the California law requires a person to sign that they are taking a ballot and turn it in. So this would be an affront to the law even there, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I just signed mine, and basically, as long as you mail it yourself or drop it in yourself, it's basically considered fine. And then if you're doing it on behalf of somebody else, there's a block on the back of the envelope where you're supposed to sign and say, I've received this letter from so and so, and it just gives you a small space to fill in. So, in theory, if the GOP is doing that at these harvesting locations, then that should agree with the law.
Okay.
But again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand the technicalities that they're arguing about, and it seems like they're doing it. It's like a stunt on both ends. Like everybody's just flexing at this point, and
I think that's a fair point. Do we want to discuss this point any further, or go on to something else? Sean, you've been inexplicitly quiet tonight. What do you want to talk about?
I was gonna bring up a few points, but you guys beat me to every one.
Sorry about that, man.
It's all pretty common sense at this. It's you guys still want to stay on topic as far as campaign stuff?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the canceled debate and what's happening there.
Yeah. Okay.
So the debate was supposed to be tomorrow, right?
No, the debate was supposed to be next week on
the 15th.
It was on the 15th? Okay.
Yeah,
I've read multiple different dates on this.
That's the third debate you're thinking of, I think.
It could be the third debate, or it could have been that they pushed it back a week and then canceled it. That might have been it too.
Yeah, at the last I heard, it's canceled. And then Biden said, okay, we're going to do a town hall on ABC. And then Trump is like, we're trying to get our own town hall with whatever network. And now the White House is trying to reinstate the debate. Like, okay, Trump's cool now. We can do this. But it's got to be in person. We're not going to do the virtual thing. Biden's going to read a teleprompter and get all his answers from a computer screen or whatever bullshit that Trump wants to talk about. Trump is just a coward. He doesn't want to debate anymore because he got stomped in the first one. That's my personal opinion.
Oh no, I 100% agree with that. It should be mentioned that it wasn't the Biden campaign or or either campaign that was making it virtual. It was the Presidential Commission for Presidential, or the debate. That's not the name of the place. It was the Presidential Debate Commission that made the rule.
Correct.
So they said that because President Trump had gotten COVID and was still likely shedding virus and contagious, that they felt more comfortable canceling it or making it virtual. Trump then said that, well, if it's going virtual, I'm not doing that. You're supposed to debate in person because reasons or something. So yeah, I agree with Sean on that point, that it was definitely done because of cowardly bullshit. Or he's still not being allowed to do it, and that's just their way of deflecting. Thoughts?
Right. So yeah, I guess we're just getting 2 town halls now instead, and they're both happening on the same night at probably the same time. So that's gonna.
Aw, man.
Everybody's gonna miss one or the other. Like,
we'll have town hall watching parties in our Discord. We'll have them posted up on our calendar when they are live. You can find the calendar and the link in our About section on Twitch or within the Facebook group. So we'll do something for that. We'll probably have a little hangout watch party kind of thing going on in the Discord. Pull up a chair, grab a drink. Let's make some fun of some politicians kind of thing. Well, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about one of the bigger actions that happened last week. The plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Whitmer was foiled by the FBI. 13 people charged in relation to this as a Michigan Wolverine Brigade or something like of that title in their name. We did just record an episode about militia groups and kind of these right-wing reactionaries, and if the left does something else, so go ahead and be sure to check that out next week once we release it. What are the thoughts about it? What were the kind of things that brought about the kidnapping plot? How did the FBI find out about it, etc.? Euler.
Well, they would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids at the FBI. What is there even to say? You have these guys who are marinating in this weird, online extremism that is eventually going to start radicalizing people. And then you have the kind of the stochastic terrorism that Trump engages in, where he tries to rally people and rile them up without doing it in such a way that would come back to him, but create a context where it would be appropriate for people to take action and liberate Michigan, so to speak. All caps. So that's all. I mean, we're living in weird times where, unfortunately, there is incentive for bad actors to, say crazy things with the hope that crazy people will key in and do things that will leave them without their fingerprints on it, but still get these bizarre results. So, fortunately, these are the kind of people that get caught, and they did get caught, and apparently had gotten, under FBI surveillance months ago. So
Yes.
This has been one of those things that they've just been waiting for these guys to fully expose themselves. What's interesting is that the local sheriff, and not in a good way, and the local sheriff, basically the press conference was like, well, maybe these guys, were just good guys. They were going to do a citizen's arrest. That's legal here. And if they thought she was doing a crime, and let's not jump to judgment. And apparently he's appeared on stage with them before. And, so there is unfortunately this weird political, crossover where media sources, and some of them quite legitimate, are trying to prime people to think that this sort of thing is acceptable. And it's still not in the mainstream, but it's mainstream adjacent. Like, you still have people who are, fairly credible. I mean, the guy's a sheriff, and not just running around with them, but even after they're arrested, kind of trying to give them a weird amount of benefit of the doubt for people that were plotting to kill law enforcement. So this is just the time that we're living in, but we're likely to see more of this because it's being monetarily incentivized, and there's not really any penalty for it.
And I think it's also important to mention that there is a theory going around, anarcho-capitalist and kind of these militia groups, that the sheriff is the actual proper and true law enforcement, and they are designed to be a further check on the government's authority through the people by electing them. And so you have groups like the people that were involved in this. I think the Bundys mention it as part of that thing. It's one of the Ammon Bundy's go-to things when he's going around the country evangelizing for his cause, is that the sheriff, we should elect sheriffs that agree with us ideologically, and if we can't find them, we should become them ourselves. And so that is something that you probably are seeing partly with this group. You saw that with groups that when West Virginia or Virginia that was trying to pass the gun control law earlier last year.
I think it was Kentucky, actually.
There was several states. I think it was.
Oh, Virginia. But yes, I was thinking of the state house where they went to. I think that was Kentucky, but then Virginia also had a big brouhaha with that.
Yes, and so Kentucky had a militia group show up. Michigan clearly had militia groups show up to the State House in order to try to protest the lockdowns. But with Virginia in particular, they had sheriffs that were declaring free gun control zones in their counties, and where they were saying we won't enforce any law passed by the state government when it comes to taking away the rights of the people. And so you have this tension that's building up that I don't think a lot of people on the left are actually aware of.
I mean, I think it's very local, probably. I mean, it's probably a good idea that they're not aware of it, because then we'll have like CNN talking about the rise and all this dramatic like doom and gloom shit.
Well,
so
it's
good that it stays as local as it is, but it's decentralized though, so it is widespread. It's not like it's just an isolated incident.
No, for sure. I understand your point, Mateo, about that. But like I said, they're going around the country talking about this kind of thing. So even though it's very much a local issue, and be sure to vote for your local sheriff. If you don't know who they are, get to know them. They have power.
I also think that's a good way for a sheriff to somehow lose his power to be like, I'm not going to enforce. I mean, there's so many steps of law above him that like he's just so screwed. I don't think it's going to be that big of a
It
threat.
depends on the state how much autonomy
true.
the sheriff has whether or not they can be removed by the governor or the state legislature, or that sort of thing. But yeah, very important point. All that.
I mean, I guess if the state legislator's on board with the sheriff, it's it's going to fly. But
Yeah,
I just think certain things, like I'm what's considered a gun nut, and people refusing to enforce perfectly like legitimate law is just the dumbest thing.
yeah, no, for sure. Like this wasn't like we're gonna go round up the guns. This was more like, hey, guy.
Yeah, we're going to let you do whatever. Like we're going to ignore any laws. Like I'm not going to enforce the laws. It's basically like sanctuary cities in a way, though, because I think they still enforce some laws. I don't want to make it sound like it's the same thing as these Yahoo sheriffs.
I would say the sanctuary city is a bit different, not because it aligns with my politics, but because they're not refusing to enforce laws. They're just saying that most of them are saying that we just won't turn over. Either we won't keep them in prison if the federal government wants them, they need to come and get them before we release them, and if they want us to keep them in prison, then they should give us a warrant and the money to keep them there until they can come get them, kind of thing. That's where it started. And then another aspect of sanctuary cities was we just won't ask somebody's immigration status when we're having a police interaction with them, because that
it's just staying in the dark on purpose. It's no better.
Well, I mean, from a local law enforcement perspective, I would say that it's a little bit better, if for no other reason that people need to be able to feel comfortable reporting crimes without them themselves getting charged with a crime. Otherwise, you let more serious crimes fester and cause issues.
I mean, that's going to be an unfortunate reality of these people's status. It's just, you can't get around it.
And that's what sanctuary cities or some sanctuary laws are designed to like make it to where we're like, hey, that's the federal government's job, not the local state government's job. They're going to deal with it. We're here to ask you about, somebody being murdered or
see that's where I kind of, true. Well, yeah, no, it makes sense in some aspect. Like if, a murder investigation finds its way into like a dorm room, they see weed, they're not going to be like, oh, got you on weed. They're just going to, they're trying to find a murder. So there are certain levels where it makes complete sense.
And that's mostly what it is. In those regards. Do we want to continue about this topic, or we're good to go on to the next one? We're doing pretty good on the keeping it.
Cool. I'm cool to move on.
All right. Let's see. I got stimulus talks. We got Facebook doing things. We got a couple of other stuff. What do we want to cover? Sean, you want to cover the Facebook stuff? You want to talk about Facebook?
Let's hit that Facebook a little bit.
All right. So for go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, 6 days ago they were like, okay, we're banning QAnon completely. Which, like, what was it? In like 2 months ago, they were banning certain QAnon sites and groups.
Yeah, they were basically anybody that was promoting QAnon that was clearly a fake account. They were purging the fake accounts, so bots, any page with a lot of followers that were shown to be either fake pages or operating under different named pages, sort of thing, from doing it.
That's it. And today, about 9 hours ago, they were like, okay, we're banning Holocaust deniers. Finally, like, a little late, guys, but
well, there goes all of my Muslim friends.
It also said extortion posts.
All of my Muslim friends are horrible people, so it's also true.
All right, Sean, can you repeat yourself? I couldn't understand you.
It also says they're banning distortion posts. I haven't figured out exactly how they're defining distortion posts.
I have not heard of that one. The banning Holocaust denial post was put up by Zuckerberg on his own personal Facebook page. Talking about how he was going to do it. I didn't see the other stuff though. The QAnon thing was news to me as of this afternoon, so that was also new. Even though it happened like 6 days ago. Man, a lot. Look, we live in such a freaking fast forward paced world that 6 days ago feels like forever. So why we do these things? But do we think that go ahead, Go ahead, Art.
I was just going to say, just for our home audience who might not be as familiar, in Middle Eastern culture, because of the conflict with Israel, there's a kind of a propaganda subtext you get in a lot of Middle Eastern countries about how the Holocaust was overinflated to gain sympathy for the Jew, and that it's so this kind of that's the origin of that subtext.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say anything, Islamophobic. I just
it's
there's
100% a thing though. Like if you like I've lived in Middle Eastern countries, and it's a thing. So
yeah, I'm just attracted to bad people. It's not that Muslims are bad people.
Yeah, don't get us fucking banned, everybody. Jesus Christ. You clip us out of context, I'm going to come out. No, I'm just kidding. We're not promoting violence here. But no, for serious though, like this is an actual issue that does exist within various communities. We can talk about that without being broad brush about it, and that's what we're doing here.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Sean. What's up?
I had a little more on the Facebook banning things.
Do it.
Please do.
3 days ago, they found a company running fake accounts for
TPUSA?
Turning Point. They found a group.
Yeah.
Basically, Turning Point had this side group themselves that had numerous fake accounts that would follow top media outlets on Facebook, etc. Mm-hmm. And they would try to be the first commenter and get up there and like each other's stuff. Anyway, Facebook.
Thank God, I knew they were small time. I hate shit like Turning Points USA.
What is sad is that, and I'll just go ahead and say this. I've been trying to get Democrats to do this, not the exact same way that TPUSA does, where they're paying college students that are living off of ramen like $100 to make post, but simply going around and being like, "Hey, you support this guy, right? Let's coordinate. Let's get a comment on there. Let's like each other's comments. Let's do this thing that we're trying to promote a person that we like, that legitimately like, and boost them on social media." Then you have this group come out and be like, "See, I told you guys this is what's been going on," but no one wants to listen to Anthony.
Well, I think what Sean's talking about was actual fakeroo stuff. Like,
oh no, it's definitely fake.
Here's a little more details. They had 200 Facebook accounts, 55 Facebook pages, 76 Instagrams.
Shit.
And about 400,000 accounts followed one or more of those pages.
Ooh. Okay, I didn't know it was
God, that's hilarious. That's so fucking great.
And they're
so bad. They're shitty as hell.
Wow.
They were called Rally Forge, the company. I don't think they were.
I love it.
Name on anything, but that was their official company name.
What I wanted to do was real people talking about real issues, not what TPUSA is doing. This is bullshit. But the thing is that it's very effective. Like Mateo, you said they're so shit at it, but like this works. People see really something. People see something over and over enough. They think it has a massive following behind it, and that's why people do it. That's why you have these groups that are doing it. It's why Russia did it in 2016, and China does it like every year now.
Yeah, it's just psyops is not usually something you want to resort to when you want to be a legitimate political organization.
What do you call marketing?
I'll have to get back to you on that because that's a complicated. It's going to take me a while. That's a good point, though. There's somewhere in between. It's more about just euphemisms, I guess. I don't know.
I got
you. I'll have to think about that. Yeah.
No, I understand where you're going with that, but psyop or marketing was born out of psyop operations from World War I and World War II. Just a little handy little thing to note about that. If you want to learn more about that kind of thing, no, we don't have a podcast on that one, but we definitely should do one. But do we think that, so with the QAnon, the TPUSA, and the Holocaust denial stuff, how badly do you think not conservatives, call them cons, try to separate the conservatives from the people that are trying to start some bullshit? How badly do you think they're going to cry about it? Let's be real.
I mean, the Holocaust denialism, I don't think they're going to care that much. There's going to be some people who are highlighted and used as some sort of like stand-in for all cons, but I don't think most Western conservatives care that much.
Yeah.
If there's a free speech argument you can make, but they're not even going to care that much. Like Ron Paul might really be strongly against it, but it's just any opposition to it is going to be on free speech grounds. And I mean, you're free to say they're just hiding their anti-Semitism, but I think most of them really just don't care that much about being able to deny something that most of them agree with. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have dirtbags in America.
Yeah, of course.
You get a lot of rural areas, you're going to find some of these beliefs.
Oh, not just rural areas. They're
Sure,
everywhere.
but yeah, okay. All I'm saying is I don't think it's really a conservative thing.
No, I can agree with that. But what about QAnon
Maybe turning points.
And turning points, though?
Turning points, maybe. QAnon is also something. I don't think it's that big at all. I don't even know why it's been. I shouldn't know about this. It's like the Dilbert guy. It's just one of those things like I shouldn't know.
The QAnon is really that big, but particular ideas that come from it get really big with just normal everyday people that don't even do politics.
Yeah.
But
I think that's really the thing. And, you know, I know this is a weird example, but like on Nextdoor, I've run into more QAnon stuff than I've ever run into on Facebook or Twitter. Like, and I run into a lot, especially on Twitter. There's a lot of weird QAnon stuff, but it is weird how like grandma and grandpa are getting targeted with this outlandish stuff that they seem to have no native defense against and just are getting completely bamboozled by it. And it's really, it's almost apolitical, like, or it's targeting people that aren't normally political. And it's just, it's bizarre. So
is Barack Obama drinking fetuses? You want answers?
Yeah, it's weird stuff like that, or like how 5G is actually like causing cancer, and it's here to like spread COVID-19, and like you ask people like, where'd you hear that? And like, oh well, I just I've just heard it from here and there, and it's like they're not even like ideological. It's just this weird like poison that's been seeping into the water supply. That's just like it's hitting people that aren't ideologically bent.
Yeah,
and it's just it's bizarre like that. It's making inroads without even having like a good monetary stream. Like it's not like, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like there's anybody who's really grifting that well off of QAnon. Like maybe there are, but I don't know where. It almost seems like a freelance grift. Like they're doing all this crap and they're not even like monetizing it. Like I really don't understand. Like somebody like Tim Pool, or like you said, the Dilbert guy, or there's people out there who are making money. Like they're trying to get clicks. Like they've got a grift where they've got a brand. Louder with Crowder, like those guys, or the Talking Points USA guy, Charlie Kirk with his weird little face.
Yeah.
Crowdsource politics. There are people out there who are trying to make that dollar. But yeah, I don't get it. Like I don't. The QAnon thing, it's almost like it's just this like passion project of trolling that isn't even about the money, which is like the purest troll of all, but also makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I similar to like the whole Kekistan thing. This started on QAnon. Definitely started on like 4chan or 8chan or.
I think it was like 8chan. Not that I would even know. I heard something about it.
Yeah, I don't frequent that dirty portion of the internet. It's very dirty, but
apparently that guy lives in the Philippines.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, honestly. A lot of these people end up not living actually in the United States, and I don't know. It's all weird.
It's like neighbors with like Ian Miles Chong. It's
yeah. So, but to what Sean had said earlier, and I think Art said as well, is that they were regular people are picking up on this stuff. It's like, I think it's one of those situations where it's kind of like, I always knew there was something weird about Hollywood. And we've heard these stories about Hollywood people raping children. Maybe this is what it all is. And you have I don't know who shared the meme. It was a meme on one of the groups that we're in, but it was an old person looking at memes, and he's like, "Time to check out the memes." And then it was the little minion thing saying like, yeah, the minion thing saying something along the lines of like, Obama's like, I think you even referenced it earlier. Obama did something.
I tried to recreate it, but I don't remember what the meme did it so much better.
But
yeah,
it was Werther's Originals. That's what it was.
Yeah, Obama put a chemical in there that's turning you into a Muslim.
I love it because I'm always making Werther's jokes about like, no, never mind.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh man, but it was great stuff. And it was, but the guy was like, "Oh my god, now I gotta go blow up the Werther's factory," and I was like, and it's like true. It's just like ridiculous how like.
And these are the people who told us not to talk to strangers online.
Yes.
Yeah, or that playing D&D and video games was going to turn us into like psycho Satanists. Killers. Yeah, and Satanists.
Yeah, if you play heavy metal music backwards, it calls to Satan. Joke's on you was your favorite band, Chicago. We got that little Nicky reference in there, yeah. Anyways.
Wow.
Brought to you by Popeye's Chicken.
Yeah.
Release the good. All right. I'm definitely aged myself there. I swear to God, I'm not a
Oh wait.
a little good news from today.
What? Okay, Art, you got a thing on your mind.
Wait, who used to play Fonzie?
Oh.
Wow, oh my God, why is his name slipping? I'm thinking of his face right now.
Yeah. Hey.
It was the only good line from Little Nicky where he goes, and now so and so covered in bees, and then like bees form him.
Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
Henry Winkler.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what
Yeah. How did
Yes.
Wow.
It's an obscure reference. We've all dated ourselves. So
All right.
we already dated ourselves by doing the most boomer thing possible, which was describing a meme to the audience.
I couldn't find it. I was gonna put it on the screen, but whatever.
Oh, I'll send it to you. I got it.
Oh, see, Art's got a stash of memes. He didn't even send it to me. Way to go, Art. You
What?
failed. You failed us all.
We
Just
already
kidding.
went that route. It was too late.
But Sean, what were you gonna say, man?
I had some good news today.
All right, what's the good news? Lay it on.
Well, we don't have much good news lately. So the Maine postal workers have reassembled one of those high-speed machines that got
Oh,
disassembled.
good.
It's apparently been running since Thursday. It can sort up to 200,000 letters an hour.
That's great, especially for Maine, which does somewhat proportional electoral college awarding. I think it's done by congressional district, or a couple of congressional districts are awarded to the person that wins that district overall. So getting those counted actually, well, it matters for everybody, but it particularly matters for like the rural areas in Michigan. It's very good news.
It says the other one was discarded for scrap metal.
It's in podcast chat now.
All right, let's do it. I'm gonna put it up there. We're making this the image. Image as I do this. But yeah. So stimulus talks. What's going on with them?
Nothing.
We're gonna get that sweet stimulus money. Am I getting another $1,200 check? That's all I really care about.
It's looking like no. If anything, it'll probably be like airline relief. It's going to be small little packages, mainly because the election's so close and the Amy Coney Barrett thing. There's just
they really want to approve her.
Yeah, there's just too much really kind of drowning it out. And like I said in earlier episodes, the stock market's not tanking, so the people who are in charge of these things don't really seem to notice.
Yeah, it's very true as well. Kind of sad about that being the case, but it is what it is. Oh, I just the whole screen. Anyways,
no, the whole world need to see this. No, and just to mention it, but the original man of the people, Andrew Yang, did enjoin everyone to pass the bill because the people are suffering, but of course it fell on deaf ears. So.
As it usually does.
Just pouring one out for my homie right there.
I thought for sure when he said that, when he tweeted at Nancy Pelosi, that it was just going to happen. Like Yang said the magic words.
Yeah.
Oh,
sadly, that is not always the case. All right, I got the meme up now. I don't know if you guys can read it. There we go. Now we're doing it proper now.
Although I love that so much.
I am not in video. What happened to me? Where did I go?
You're now just the logo. You've become one with the logo.
Oh, that's. I actually don't know what happened. Where did I go? Oh wait. Oh, I'm.
My God, what have you done?
I got shrunk. What the hell? I don't know.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
I'm all like reverse now and stuff. What the heck? All right, got to do this. All right, whatever. I'll just.
You're like Ant-Man. Get it, Anthony.
There we go. There, I fixed it. Or I'm in the process of fixing it. I think. Anyways, but so we're not going to get stimulus money, Mateo, because of Amy Coney. You're right, man. That's even more reason to be against her nomination. But Trump was on a steroid high and seemed to have sunk the deal and then try to get it back. Was that art of the deal or was that steroids? Well, what's going on with that?
That was art of the steroids right there. Yeah, I mean,
steroids.
In negotiation, you generally don't want to what's the term? Show your ass. And when you walk away from the table and then come back and say, actually, I just wanted this. Like, that's showing your ass. Like that in that time frame, it's that's not how you do things. It signals to the other side that you're just inept and floundering. And unfortunately, Nancy's, from a negotiation standpoint, she's doing the right thing. Like, she's going to hold out for 2.4 trillion, and if she doesn't get it, then nobody's getting nothing. And Trump is too stupid to put gobs of money into the hands of people and businesses a week before the election. He's just too stupid to do it. And at this point, I think that Mitch McConnell hates him so much, and all he wants is this last judge. Like, at this point, Mitch is the champion. He's the reigning champ. He can go out on top now. He could retire tomorrow.
True.
There's like once he gets ACB in, then he's good. So, like, unfortunately, Trump's the only guy who doesn't realize that there's no deal to be made here, because like Pelosi's only going to take like her total ask, and Mitch isn't going to give him anything. So yeah. I don't even know who Trump thinks he's negotiating with at this point. Like, he's just, it's sad from an outsider standpoint to like look in on the negotiation and be like, this is an embarrassment. And again, giving people free money a week before the election is like the stuff of legend. Like, how do you even walk away from that? Like, how stupid do you have to be to fumble that, especially when you're 5 to 10 points down to the polls? Like, it's unreal how bad at politics Trump is.
No, for sure. And
this whole thing is.
Go ahead, Mateo. Go ahead.
I was just going to talk shit. I mean, what Art said, it's just so crazy how bad at this Trump is. And it's like, it's almost a cartoon. It is a cartoon. And it's basically like the stereotypical right winger that, you know, a lot of like lefties always say is like the Republican standard, you know, mode of operation. It's bullshit, but that is who Trump is. Like, those people do actually exist. They're just not as general as, you know, they say they are. And Trump is that. Like, everything except maybe like wars, international war. He seems actually pretty muted when it comes to using the military abroad, but that's it. Like, that's the only like stereotype that he kind of bucks.
Yeah.
You know, and he did what he could to make up with it by pardoning war criminals and all that. But yeah, to be fair, he's not created any new wars.
He's so dumb.
Do you think we're gonna see a slew of pardons right before he's out? Like,
oh yeah. Just the worst ones that'll piss off the most Democrats. Like, it's going to be the most petty, stupid bullshit. Unless maybe he somehow wins another term. He'll probably still do it even if he gets 8 years. It's Trump. He's a child, and he's always paying attention to everything anyone's saying about him negative. And there's always some sort of vengeful reaction that he needs to act out. Otherwise, you know, they win. So yeah, he's going to do something stupid. Either that, or maybe Kim Kardashian will get to him, and it'll just be a bunch of fairly decent releases. Who knows?
Like Obama did during his last 10 months or so, commuting sentences for low-level drug offenders. Yeah. No, I could see that happening as well. That would be good. That's the best case scenario, though.
That is.
But if he does, yeah. If he does lose, though, he's gonna own the libs for 3 months straight. Like, yeah. Once the whole like the shock and all that, I personally am predicting that it's going to be a very substantial Biden win, and beyond the margin where even nobody in the GOP is really going to want to do much at that point. They'll realize that he's lost beyond any margin of being able to help. And at that point, the recriminations are going to start, the bitterness, the infighting, and it's just going to collapse. So at that point, we'll be stuck with him for 3 months, just watching everything disintegrate, and it's just going to no nonstop lib owning.
And I'm sure though, and that's that they're going to do that. No, that the Republicans are going to do that?
Oh, no. They're going to turn on him as soon as he fails. Like, and I think it's going to be a big enough blowout that they'll turn on him right away. Like, you know, or within that month. Like, by the time we get to December, it's going to be a bloodbath. Like, it's going to be so bad. And this is my prediction. I could be totally wrong. Yeah. But I think that they're with him because he is powerful. And people that worship power do not forgive weakness and defeat. And once it's obvious that even beyond the margin of cheating, Biden is just won, is just a landslide, they're going to snap and be like, this guy failed us. Like, we believed the polls were fake, the news was fake, but he lied, and he let us down, and he ruined us, and now we've been led into destruction. Like, the Democrats have taken the Senate, they've taken everything. Like, we've lost everything. Once that sinks in, it's going to be a bloodbath. But at that point, Trump's just going to have 2 fingers in the air. He'll be pardoning people. Any right winger that's ever done anything wrong, Charlie Manson, like fuck the world. It'd be like serial killers out of prison, just anything. And anybody that people who tried to kidnap Whitmer, he'll give them a pardon. Like just all of them.
Yeah, he can't. But yeah, I got you. Yeah. The only reason I'm hesitant.
Bernie
to say
Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Yeah. Yes, but seriously, like I think
I lost.
Didn't he already let
fuck those
Blagojevich out?
people.
He actually he did. See, that's not even a joke anymore. Like he's such a fucking shithead.
Well, he did that because he's like, I want this to be done for me. Huh?
Anybody that says something nice about Trump is getting a pardon. Like, and seriously, it doesn't matter how many ground up humans you had in your freezer. Like, it's just you're getting the fuck out if you can do that and just say some nice words about Trump.
The only reason I'm hesitant to say that the Republicans are going to fully rebuke is one, I'm not sure that their base will allow it, and two, I saw what happened in Wisconsin, and they did everything in their power in order to restrict the power of the Wisconsin governor after he was elected. I don't remember the guy's name, top of my head, but Wisconsin went from Witch Walker to a Democrat, and in that and the legislature switched, and in that interim, they passed a ton of laws to restrict the governor's power, to make it to where the Democrats couldn't do the same thing that they did when they were in power. So I worry that is going to bury their modus operandi, and we're going to see some laws try to restrict either the president's power or restrict other things and get things that Republicans
That's
want
a good thing. I mean, that's probably a good thing. Even though it's going to be shitty how it comes about, it's probably better. Like, especially if people this whole time were
restrict the powers of the presidency. That's what happened in Wisconsin. I do not see them being as rebukeful as Art does, and I worry that they're going to try to pass some laws that are going to be harder to overturn, even though Democrats are likely to take or have a higher chance of taking the Senate than they did just 3 weeks ago.
I'm just saying, like, and again, this is a bit before you guys. I mean, Nixon's before my time, but like, Carter, GHWB, even George Bush, like a lot of these guys that left on like a bad note. It took them a very long time to get rehabilitated. And I think with George W. Bush, he's like the world record setter at like 15 years, like or 10 years. Like for some reason, like people are kind of weird. The "miss me yet" meme, like the kind of weirdly reminiscent. It's only because Trump is substantially more, let's say, detrimental to the long-term fortunes of the GOP. I think that once he loses here, it'll be a shock. But like Nixon, he didn't even really get rehabilitated in his lifetime. Like, after he died, there was a weird bit of like kind of nostalgia, sort of, but he never really came back. And Carter reinvented himself as like a, basically humanitarian, like a guy who Habitat for Humanity and building houses and all that. And
Carter
it's weirdly
he's justice and peace.
And he's more loved for that now than he ever was for being president. And, and then GHWB, like, he was always just kind of this weird, like, kind of creepy CIA insider guy who just wormed his way up and just was not cut out for the job. And his dimwit son somehow pulled off 8 years.
Should have voted for Jeb.
Yeah, they should have voted for Jeb. I mean, Jeb is like a manager of like a BMW dealership in like, Florida. Like he's just competent middle management. Like he's never really supposed to be the star, but you could tell that he would run an efficient ship. Like he wouldn't screw it up. The books would be balanced. Like that you'd have a tight operation.
He's just not Dad's favorite.
He just wasn't Dad's favorite. He just wasn't that boy. But yeah, I think that when you fall out of power and you kind of screw over the party, I mean, traditionally in U.S. politics, we're not super kind. And it takes a long time to dig yourself out, even if you make the effort. Like, I mean, seriously, Carter, it took like 20 years for anyone to even look at him. Like, he just, he was not well regarded for a very long time, and he was a nice guy. He just I think fumbled.
I think that has to do with inflation. Like, it wasn't his fault, but people blamed him for a lot of that.
Oh, totally.
And it just unfortunate timing. I think.
And then you had the Volcker. Not the rule, but Volcker come in and try to crush inflation by basically turning everyone poor. So
we learned a lot of.
You got to raise rates. If you believe in MMT, you can't say that's turning people poor. You got to raise rates if you want to fight inflation.
I didn't disagree with that. I'm just saying, but that was the consequence of what happened. Great jacking up rates.
Oh, it
so
sucks.
Quickly.
Yeah. It's
so
bad
quickly
when you do
led
that.
to a realignment of everything, and that caused a lot of people a lot of harm, even temporary. So we're talking 6
Oh
years.
yeah, without a doubt. They had to raise it twice. The first time it
Yeah.
didn't do the intended effect, and then they just really shot up. I mean, it sucks. There's nothing else to do. You got to be the bad guy.
Yep. So that's definitely why Carter got some of the blame on that. That would be an interesting topic to talk about. We already talked about MNT, by the way, everybody. So go ahead and check that out on the
Commanding
podcast
Heights.
as well. So,
But just mark my words. This is my prediction. I may be wrong, but I'm going to say that it's going to be a big Biden win. And what's going to happen is that once everyone realizes how badly Trump dropped the ball and he's basically out and it's all going to fall apart in 3 months, it's going to get real bad. And it'll be a lot of it on the GOP.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have his hardcore fans who's like, he was cheated. It won't matter if it was by 30 points. He could, I mean, it won't matter. You'll have that small cadre that just is, the Dan Bonginos and the Tim Pools who are like, we need to get our guns. This is Civil War. But like most of the GOP, like the actual, the sane ones with day jobs that account to people, they're looking ahead 10, 20 years in the future. And they're just like, oh, this guy just completely whiffed it. Like we've now set ourselves up for failure and we need to reinvent ourselves again after Bush, after Trump. We need to come up with another revolution. And the Trumpists are going to reject that because they love Trump and they're psychotic. And then the rest of the GOP that's trying to make money and they're thinking about, how do we keep this thing going? They're going to revolt and it's going to be bloody.
Yeah, I hope they do it soon too. Like basically, Trump's going to try some spiteful shit, and then they're just going to disown him so
Right.
bad that like his final days in office are just going to be nothing but disgrace.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Knock on wood, everybody's got wooden desk. You better knock on wood.
Like Lindsey Graham will do a complete 180 and be like, "This son of a bitch ruined America."
Well, yeah.
Where's my mint julep?
You can't buy Lindsey Graham, but you can rent him.
Exactly.
Oh, poor Lindsey.
It's true though.
That's what I'm saying is that there's a lot of people within the GOP that are using Trump. Like they're not Trumpists, they're using him because he's a means to an end. When he stops being useful, they're going to dump him, and like the true believers don't get that.
No, yeah, that's definitely.
They're going to pretend so many things didn't happen.
They're just happy to be involved in society for once.
Yeah.
So Trump's base. So we're on this topic a little bit. Let's talk about it a little bit more. Trump's base is what, 30% of the U.S. population, roughly, right?
Well,
maybe like adult population.
I'd say 35. I mean, it depends on what you want to call his base, but yeah, I mean, it's
30,
probably
30
at least 35.
We'll say 30.
Let's call it 30, 40. Yeah. He's got 10%.
What's the normal Republican base?
25% or so.
Well,
Trump's base is bigger than the Republicans' base.
No, I wouldn't say that. We're talking about the electorate, not the.
Yeah, we're talking. Okay, so right now, when polling is done, Trump has not fallen below 40% of approval rating, right? And
right.
So when you look at his approval rating within the Republican Party, you're seeing record highs, like just fucking phenomenal. Like 90% of Republicans approve of Trump, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little guesstimating going around here when I'm saying 30 to 40% of the U.S. population. I'm talking about adult voter age people that have. So you're probably maybe a little less than that, typically speaking. But as far as what people self-ID as Republican and Democrat, self-ID'd Democrat Republican people are roughly a quarter. You got some play in there about 5%. So you're anywhere between 19 and 25% or so is self-ID'd as a Democrat or Republican at any given time. Roughly 33% of the populace says that they're independent, but we all know that people like being like, oh, I'm independent, but then they'll vote a certain way. So that's why you have these different numbers. So it's not necessarily that he's got more support than the Republican Party as a whole. It's just the way the numbers are falling.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the electorate, it's probably 40%. If you're talking about like the U.S. population, it's probably like 15 or maybe 20% on the outside.
Yeah. So what happens to them though? Like, what happens to the electorate? The people that go out and vote? Like, we're gonna see them as being a smaller and smaller subset of the electorate simply because of age or what have you, or are we gonna have to worry about these people going for worry about what they may do in their politics going forward? Do we have to address them at all? Like, can they be ignored? What are you guys' thoughts about that?
I think most of them are just going to change tune. They're going to pretend they weren't that big into Trump anyway. They're going to distance themselves.
Yes.
They're just going to save face. Like this is the same thing
they
do
be
with.
a lot of bandwagoning.
I mean, look at what they did with
absolutely.
Bush. Bush was
leader.
nowhere near this bad for them, or at least according to the way that they think. And they tried to throw him under the bus. Like, oh, this recession sucks. Like,
yeah,
it's just.
I guess that's fair.
It's just what they do. It's how you can look objective while still being a complete shill.
No, yeah, that's fair.
So they're gonna be like, yeah, I was never that into Trump. And it's meanwhile they could have been like screaming at the libs online all day or some shit.
Well, okay. The only other topic that we were said to cover in my little intro was the protester that was killed in Denver, Colorado. What do we know about this incident with the hired security guard for the reporter?
I wouldn't call him a protester. Seems like he was just an assailant.
I mean, he was protesting the media.
He was part. Well, okay, so he was part of the quote unquote patriot muster.
Let's call him a counter protester.
Yeah, he's a counter protester. So there was a was it Antifa Black Lives Matter Soup Brigade or some, I don't know, some name like that. Let me go ahead and pull it up so I'm not talking completely out of my ass.
I'm just saying, usually after a certain line is crossed, calling these people protesters is kind of
okay. No, that's fair.
Euphemizing their status. Yeah, this guy was attacking someone. Calling him a protester is an insult to protesters.
Fair point, man. Completely fair point. So the assailant that happened to be at a protest, better. The assailant that happened to be at a protest. Go ahead, Sean. What's up?
Sorry, I got to cut you off. I'm reading it right now. It says there was a police support rally and there was a counter protest nearby. So then, he was probably there for the support rally.
He was there it was a patriot muster. They had a thing called out for their Antifa, a protest calling themselves pro Antifa, Black Lives Matter Soup something. It's probably in the article there. We're there as counter demonstrators. The incident that happened, it looked like a person wearing a Black Guns Matter shirt. Black Guns Matter is a group that wants to arm Black people against a repressive state and increase Black gun ownership. Was in a verbal altercation with I don't know if he's with the gentleman or somebody that was with his group, but he was being, verbal altercation, escalating, like, go ahead and try to do something. You ain't gonna do shit. Kind of like bluster. You'll shoot me, whatever. And the guy that got shot ended up smacking and getting into a kind of a physical altercation with the security guard. The security guard was a contractor with the Pinkertons. He wasn't a Pinkerton employee, but he was subcontracted to them. And he was there at providing security to the reporters. He got slapped or punched. It's hard to tell within the still images. The only video that I've seen about this incident basically shows the guy that gets shot goes off camera, and then you see the spray of the mace, or whatever kind of mace it was. It was big cone of mace goes off, and then the guy gets shot. Thoughts?
I'm sorry. Did you say the Pinkertons?
I did.
Okay, I guess the most surprising part of this story is that that's still a thing.
Yeah, so he was from Pinkerton Security. I'm going to Denver. Let me look this up really quick.
I mean, they're just using the name, right? Or is
I'm not sure.
He was initially identified as a private security guard who was contracted through Pinkerton by a CNN affiliate, KUSA TV.
Okay, well, I was this many years old when I learned that the Pinkertons were still a thing in U.S. So
they still provides private security and investigative work. So basically, you're still doing what they've been always doing. Apparently,
all right.
I did not know either until I heard about this. I'm not surprised considering how much how much of an influence they were on the general policing in the United States and how much they were hired. So they had a lot of capital, but it's also surprising they're still
there. But most people spend that kind of money over 100 years, but okay.
IBM hasn't, so.
Well, I mean, they're like twice as old as IBM, so like that's okay. IBM's all right, well, I'll not question it. Fair enough.
But what
Who knew?
are your thoughts about this? We did record an episode prior to going live that talks about militias and kind of these kind of things. So be sure to check it out next week once it's published. But what are our thoughts? Why did this go down? Is there a measure of self-defense from the guy that shot the other person? That sort of thing.
It's kind of hard to say in this one. Like, we don't have a lot of video evidence to go on, so saying early on is hard. But it doesn't look like the guy, I mean, it's hard to say because it can go either way. But bear spray or pepper spray or mace, whatever you use, is generally not probably going to cause legitimate fear for your life or maybe bodily harm. It could maybe in the moment, but I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I personally probably wouldn't have shot the guy, but at the same time, he was like coming at him, apparently slapping at him. Like,
yeah, that's why it's, there's a lot of things that are going to be involved. There's probably more, there's got to be more that happened than what we could even see. So,
yeah,
like I said, this is going to be a pretty good case, or not a good case. I don't want to say it's good, but it's going to be really interesting.
There's a bit of a difference between having somebody use some kind of spray on you when you're attempting to get away or when they're attempting to get away. But when somebody's trying to close with you and use it, then one could presume that they're trying to incapacitate you to continue attacking you.
Yeah.
So I think that when you're carrying a firearm, that becomes a different calculation. Like if you're trying to chase somebody and you think about women that have pepper spray on their keychain, it's because they don't want to engage with you. They want to break contact and escape. So it's not that they want to hunt people down and get in fights with them, so to speak. So I think that that's a bit of a different calculation when you're in a public altercation with somebody who's closing with you and attempting to blind you, and they're already hitting you. Like it's just, I don't know that it needed to end in the guy getting shot and killed. It's a weird situation that people put themselves in. Like they basically both decided to be there and engage in that sort of thing, and it wound up badly. And that's, you have enough of these interactions, and statistically, some of them are going to go bad. So I agree with Mateo. It's just it's hard to know. There's so many variables, and it's really impossible to say one way or the other.
And I think this we're starting to see some precedent be built up with these kind of actions of what is and is not self-defense from common law. Because while researching the episode that we just recorded, I was reminded of the incident that happened in Washington at a Milo Yiannopoulos event at University of Washington in 2017 with Elizabeth Hokenhanen, who was a woman that was afraid that she would have been assaulted by an Antifa member and shot and killed him. And that resulted in a hung jury. We have another incident that happened just last month or so with the incident in was it Portland, where a quote unquote Antifa guy was shot and killed a Patriot Prayer person. And we have another incident where similar things happened with someone getting shot. I just don't recall. I just know there's another incident. But we're starting to see case law built up where it seems that these situations may end up being considered self-defense, even though previously that they were not. The Elizabeth Hokenhanen, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her Hokenhanen, is the most interesting case because I was sure at the time that she was going to be found guilty because the person that she had shot hadn't engaged violently with her at all. Simply said that she feared for her life and she shot the person that did it.
Well, what did he do? It's not like he probably just didn't stand there and they were like, "Oh, I can't decide on this." There's got to be
the claim at the time for this was that the person supposedly had a knife and she was worried that he was going to stab her, but there was no knife found on the scene. And the part of the reason why there was a hung jury is because the guy refused to testify. Because
the guy who was shot?
The guy who was shot refused to testify.
Oh, I didn't know he survived.
Yes, he survived. He refused to testify.
Oh, I was going to say, that reminds me of the old Greek saying, dead men don't testify.
Right.
But
He refused to, and I'm pretty sure it's because the guy is ideologically opposed to the court system.
Well, in that case, he deserved to get shot. I mean, I hate saying that, but like honestly, if you can't be bothered to show up to court to testify, then like that
Right.
This is a world.
Defense.
This is a world without courts. It's like if you can't be bothered to support any system because you hate it so much, well, okay, then this is the world you want to live in. Is a world where you get shot and have
guy who
have
jumps
no,
into a cage with lions.
yeah, like okay. I mean, if that's the world you want to live in, then I'll leave you to it.
But I was
But
at
also,
the time. I just want to
sorry,
say
real
again.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So go ahead.
That guy in Washington who got shot, Mr. Rainall, he's basically said he's like, I'm 100% Antifa all the way. So it's not like, allegedly Antifa. It's that guy is straight up claiming that.
Oh, you're talking. Okay.
Ryan Hall? I don't know how to pronounce his name.
The person that was shot last month. Sorry, I was just wasn't quite sure who you were talking about. Yes, he's.
Yeah, no, that guy was pretty explicit about who he was.
Antifa, and that sort of thing. So I say allegedly because I don't know what groups he was in or anything like that. Person can be 100% pro Antifa and never actively engaged with Antifa at all. But he was supposedly security for some of these events, and that's typically what these people do. Go ahead, Art.
Well, Antifa is an idea, not an organization.
There's organizations that are Antifa,
so is white supremacy.
Well, that's true.
It's true.
I mean, there is not
and
like a white
jihadism.
supremacy card. Yeah, none of these things have ID cards.
I tried making them, but people got mad.
Couldn't get the laminate on.
We actually.
I can't hear you, Art. You went out.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know. You got disconnected somehow.
Am I back?
You're back now, yeah.
Okay. This is almost 15 years ago. Or, gosh, what is it? 2020? It was longer than that ago. Gosh, we did catch a courier back in the day who had printed himself up an Al Qaeda identification card. He was caught in an airport, and they were going through his pocket litter, and they were checking his pockets, and they looked at him. And they're just like shaking their heads, just like, "Wow!" Like you
just give it back. Get out of here.
Right, like you had this made up. They're like, yeah. He's like, it's not official. Like we know it's not official.
You're still going to jail.
We know.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you, people, criminals are not necessarily the brightest people in the.
They're really not. Yeah, people that can make money doing legit methods, they tend not to gravitate towards crime.
At least
or exactly what I was going to say. They go to white collar crime where you don't go to jail. You just get really, really rich.
Yeah. Bernie Madoff, the guy from.
What was his mistake?
He got too greedy, right?
He stole from rich people.
Oh, yeah.
No, seriously. Like with white collar crime.
Guys.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Kevin Bacon was the wrong guy to cross.
It was. Yeah. No, you can steal from the poor all day long, but if you make a living stealing from rich people, I mean, hopefully not to Jeffrey Epstein any names, but you've got some good dirt on him.
But if you really want to do good work while being a criminal,
did you ever see Tremors, guys?
Criminals.
Tremors, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, don't mess with that guy.
Right.
Is there any other newsy topic we want to cover? We've been going for pretty strong for about an hour and a half.
Do we do election predictions?
We did not do it. Well, we kind of did electric predictions. Art made his blowout prediction. I think it's a little closer to a blowout, but it's not looking good for Trump.
It'll be 330 plus.
Jesus.
It's looking so bad for Trump. I just hope everyone actually goes out and votes.
Yeah.
Don't get complacent. I mean, I'm in California. It doesn't matter, but
I'm a Republican and I want this dude to lose. Well, I guess I'm not anymore, but I will be when he's gone.
Mateo is the last remaining survivor of the Rockefeller Republicans, everybody.
The only one under 80 years old, at least.
Yeah.
But we were thinking about doing a electoral map contest, where if you can guess the electoral map and the percentage of votes, we would give out a little prize. So stay tuned for that.
I like that.
Doing that. That was suggested by one of our Facebook members. So
nice.
Facebook isn't all bad.
I made one 2 months ago that I reposted a couple days ago. and I still stand by it. And I'm curious to see everyone else's.
Sean, I actually didn't. Yes, I'm curious to see other people's too, and I want to do that. Sean, I actually didn't understand what you said. Could you go ahead and repeat yourself?
I said terms and conditions may apply.
Oh yes, of course. We don't know what we will be giving out as
the Discord. You have to be an
Oh, that was another contest that we were thinking about doing, getting a highest level person within a certain amount of time on the Discord. So trying to increase participation kind of thing. So, but be sure to be on the lookout for that. We will be posting it to our Facebook page when we do go live with these contests. Anything else, guys?
I think we're good. Or I'm good.
Yeah, I think we got it
Yeah, I
all.
can't think of anything really.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're watching us on YouTube, we do stream live to Twitch every Monday at about 8 p.m. Eastern. Going forward, that is what we're doing. It's just another bit of content we're producing for you, our fans. And if you like what you heard, go ahead and smash that follow button. Get us those follows on Twitch and YouTube. Check out our podcast. Join the Facebook group and the Discord. And as always, keep your head up through the political storm.